You missed it.
I was
I
muted.
thought-
I was going to say just carry on. I got it. I was just muted.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
I was going to
I
say
was
carry
like,
on.
oh
I'll
my
put it in
God.
post.
Oh my God.
All right, let's try that again.
All right, so let's ignore the music. I'll just put it in post.
Okay, that's fine with me.
All right, I'll just do the other bit.
All right.
So, welcome to RPG: The Golden Years. This is your weekly.
You broke up really bad for
review
me right
covering-
there.
Oh, okay. I'll try again. Right. One. Welcome to RPG: The Golden Years. This is your weekly show covering all things RPGs from the past, present, and future. And this is the Grandia II review. I'm Bill.
I'm Scott with a talking hawk.
And I'm Rich. That's about all I got. Welcome to the Golden Years, guys.
And I'm the Golden Years.
The golden after years.
Welcome back. Yes, everybody, we're back for part 2 of the Grandia review. Today we'll be discussing the game's story and then finally rank our first Dreamcast RPG for the list. And with that, we'll also cross off another Golden Years game.
And it's the Grandia 2 review. You just said Grandia.
Grandia. They're all the same.
Technically still accurate.
That's very true.
Yep. But first, before we get to that, let's catch up.
Who's starting this week?
You know what? Let me start.
Okay.
I don't start these very often, but I'd like to say that I've been paying.
Sorry, I'll let you guys carry on for a second. My food shop's just arrived. I'll be back in 5 minutes. But
Okay.
you guys just go through the first section, and then I'll catch up.
Alrighty.
Right, sorry,
All right.
guys.
Bill had a grocery order arrive, so Rich and I are just going to carry on.
Yeah. So, okay. What was I doing? Okay. The games I was playing. All right. So I've been playing Final Fantasy X, just a tiny bit, getting started on the RPG July, the JRPG July.
Nice.
Played a little bit of Octopus Traveler and a little bit of Pokemon.
3 JRPGs.
Yeah, I know. I don't. That's not on my list, but I still need to beat the freaking thing. I'm starting to get the weird.
So where are you in all of those?
I just arrived to the island on Final Fantasy X. Besaid, yeah. I forget the names on them sometimes. I just introduced everybody saying, "Oh, look, I can play Blitzball, and I'm from Xanarkand." And people are like,
"This bitch be cray cray.
Why are you saying those things? That's a holy city, you son of a bitch." Anyways, Octopus Traveler, I'm only at my 3rd character, so I'm only like 3 hours in. But God, I forgot the game was long.
So wait, are you like playing that like one character at a time? Or are you like jumping around between the different stories?
I'm just following the path.
Okay.
I don't know if that does anything. So
because I know
maybe
you
I'm
could,
not playing it right.
If I understand right, in that game you can like do one chapter with one character and then switch to a different character, and they each have like 3 chapters or something.
Yep. It's not bad. I like the style for it. It got a real Final Fantasy like 6 and earlier feel to it, so it's not bad.
Okay.
And that's about it. I got that weird Pokemon fever though.
Oh, where are you in Pokemon though?
I just finished. What is it? I got my fighting badge.
Is that like the 4th or 5th one?
I think it's like the fifth one. I think.
Okay.
And I had that little Bebe or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Dude tried to knock down a wall and he got in trouble.
Well,
and that's
he's an asshole.
Yep. Cocky little bastard.
Corey's been playing that a little bit lately too. He's he just got his 3rd badge, I believe. So
nice.
He finally gave up on having me watch him play, so I'll like catch him playing it randomly here and there.
There you go.
All the time. But I do try to catch the gym battles because I really love in the gym battles how the crowd does like the fight songs during the battles.
Oh yeah,
that's like legit, like a really cool touch.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then I did pick up some cards.
Cards.
Pokemon
cards. Oh, Pokemon cards. Are you just collecting, or are you wanting to play with somebody?
I've been playing a little bit with it. It's not bad.
Who are you playing?
I'm playing a guy I work with. Like occasionally, like at the we'll play that. I pulled a card. Yep. And a few people I know from my other job plays them too. But anyway, so I pulled a $30 card.
What's that?
The $30 worth $30.
Yeah, but what card?
Cynthia and some other girl's name. I forget her name. Hold on. Let's
Nice.
see if I have it. But anyway, so yeah, go for it. I'm gonna pull it out. I'll show it to you.
Oh, okay. Show it to me.
you know how it is. All right, what have you been doing?
Well, first off, I was just going to mention that I used to have friends who would go to like those Books a Million Pokemon tournaments in college. So I had some people that were playing it well past the target age demographic. But I guess you've surpassed that now. Congratulations, Rich. Young at heart.
Yeah, I am.
Anyway, I did play Ring Fit Adventure one day this week. I beat World 18, so getting close to the end there. There's 23 worlds. I didn't play it a second time though, so it's been slower going. I've taken to doing like long walks for my cardio now that it's warm out, and I'm trying to like get a base tan for whenever I do. Hopefully, end up one day going on a vacation. Although Corona is trying its damnedest to prevent that. I don't know if you can tell, but I actually got a little bit of sunburn on my shoulders.
Look at you.
Yeah, right. I left the house, Rich. No.
Oh my God.
Me and Corey have still been playing New Super Mario Brothers U. We beat World 6, which is the Rock Candy Mines, last night. So there's 8 worlds plus a secret bonus one. So we're making trail through that.
Nice.
I still am not like a super fan of the New Super Mario Brothers series, but Corey seems to like it, and it is fun to play together. So I played a little bit of Smash Bros. Ultimate because they released a new DLC character, Min from ARMS. So I played to try and kind of see how she plays and like clear the DLC content for her. I actually enjoy playing as her. Like, I've never really played ARMS. I have no attachment to the character. And when Sakurai did his presentation, just like based on what he showed, I was like, oh, I'm going to be terrible with her, or she's going to be so tricky to play. But actually, she's pretty fun to play as. So I'll probably add her to my rotation of characters I'll randomly pick when versing people.
What's ARMS?
It was a pretty early first-party Switch game. It's a fighting game where all the characters have like arms that are kind of like a slinky spring, kind of, where they just like extend really far. So it's like you punch people from very far away.
Okay.
Apparently, it like didn't do great like sales wise, but like it was a really polished game and people like it and remember it fondly. So I think Sakurai said he wanted to have an ARMS character from the get-go, but like it came out kind of towards the end of Smash's initial development, so they just never didn't work out time wise. Yeah. He said the same thing about the characters from Xenoblade 2. So I'm expecting them to be, or one of them to be DLC at some point too, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, check it out. Can you see it?
Oh, okay, yeah, I see it. Huh. Interesting.
Holographic, full art. I don't know what that means.
For those listening, Rich just showed me the Pokemon card. What series is that from?
Sword and Shield, I think.
Oh, okay, nice.
Maybe.
That's weird because I didn't think Cynthia was a Sword and Shield character.
No, it's a Sun and Moon.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah, pissed off. It's hilarious. It was like the first pack I've ever had, and it just shows up in there. I'm like, oh, look at that. And then the guy's like, yeah, it's like $33 card. I'm like, what?
Actually, I think Corey's kind of a Gen 1er. Like, he only cares about the first generation of Pokemon typically.
Yeah.
And we were at a game shop one time and he saw like some Pokemon trading cards, like the booster packs.
Yeah.
And he asked if they had any from like the first 3 Pokemon card series, because those are the only ones he care about. And that's before they introduced the gold and silver Pokemon.
Yeah.
And those things are expensive now. Yeah. Like, you have to pay, I just don't know what exactly, but I remember it being like $30 just for a booster pack from those first few sets. So
what's funny is you go back to look at like what you had as a kid that's worth money now. And you're like, would I go back in time and tell my younger self, like, hey, you know what, maybe you should put those up somewhere. Just don't play with it.
I don't think I have mine anymore. I used to like keep them in like a binder or something, but who knows what happened to them.
Nope.
So we've also been playing the God of War remake quite a bit. Finally got past most of the side quests and exploring that were available. Got to some story. It's heating up. It's like when the story's going, I enjoy it. It's just there's like such long lulls between big story beats typically. We're currently in Helheim. So, and I don't want to spoil it, but we got the next weapon that you get. That's not the axe. You haven't actually beaten it, right? I think I asked you this.
No, I haven't ever played it yet.
Well,
I have it. I just haven't played it.
I won't spoil anything then, but it was a cool part.
Nice.
So I am starting to like it more. I was worried I was going to get all the way through it and just come away with a meh opinion, but hopefully it continues on this trajectory. And playing more Last of Us 2, of course. Lauren has been coming over. We've been playing that together. We are like chapter 17 or something.
Good God.
There's a lot more chapters in this game, and the game's longer than the first one. So
nice.
Yeah. I won't say like a roundabout where that is in the story because obviously it's such a new game. No spoilers, but I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know that I like it better than the first one yet, but I'm still holding out like to see. I'm going to get the full experience before I make any judgments.
Nice.
And then for JRPG July, I did start that. Final Fantasy V. I am currently about to get on I am in the fire-powered ship, I think, which is where Bill said he was last time I checked. I'm enjoying it. It's very simple, almost like a cookie cutter Final Fantasy RPG. Like as far as the story beats, it's like things just sort of happen out of nowhere for no reason, and then it's done. But I kind of expected that going in. I have sort of a knowledge of FF5 just from playing Record Keeper so much.
Oh, there you go. That's true. I forgot those are hitting the high points in that.
Yeah.
In that game.
Yeah, the Record Keeper, like if you actually read everything and do all the story stuff, like you basically learn the general outline of every Final Fantasy as far as the story goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it and I look forward to continuing that. I think I should definitely be able to finish it in July. So yeah. And Bill is still not back with us, so I guess we're just gonna continue on without him to our save state of the podcast.
We can tell what he's been playing: Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy V, Lunar, and Vesperia. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, he actually got frustrated with FF5 because he's doing the 5-job Fiesta, and he got to the Liquid Flame boss, I believe, and the Fiesta gave him like all berserkers, and that's the only thing he's allowed to use. And apparently you need magic to beat that boss, apparently. I don't know. But so I think he's going to give up on the Fiesta and just do a casual run.
That's hilarious.
Oh, well. I don't know where he's in FF10, but I think he has been enjoying Vesperia. I've heard him say some good things about it. Don't know anything about Lunar, though.
I don't know either.
All right. Well, fuck Bill. All right. So before we get on to the news, we got a Patreon, in case you guys haven't heard of it before. We got some great benefits there. If you support us, you can get early access to the episode. It usually comes out on Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on how gung-ho we are about editing. Those episodes that you get early are also ad-free, so you don't have to hear about Anchor or any of the other network shows or anything else we decide to plug. You can also participate live in the video version of the show. We stream that live to YouTube. Although I wanted to talk to you guys off air. I'm wondering if we can somehow move that to Twitch, or if that would even be a good idea.
Yeah.
We should talk about it.
Yeah.
We got aftercasts, which are basically just bonus episodes where we talk about just whatever the hell we want. Basically, we try to keep it like related to RPGs somehow. I think this next one we're going to record, Jay had the idea of talking about all this this controversy with the streamer stuff that's been going on. Like, unfortunately, it seems there's been some pedophilia going on. We usually try not to get too political on the main show, but I feel comfortable saying fuck pedophiles.
Well, yeah, I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, right.
We should get rid of those guys.
We also do lots of extra and bonus non-RPG reviews. There's a bunch out there. Resident Evil 3. I think we're going to try to do a Last of Us 1 here soon. Corey and I still have to record a couple more. We always forget because we don't talk about it, and it comes time to do the reviews, and we're like, don't feel like it. But anyway, there's lots of benefits, so I hope you all enjoy that. Rich, Bill was going to talk about this, but you get to talk about JRPG July.
All right, guys. So we've talked about it so many times in the last couple of weeks. We've also got a big Twitter thing going out there. The hashtag JRPG July event has started. So in case you don't know about that, is you pick a JRPG and you basically play it to completion in July. So you have to complete the whole game in July. You can talk about it through your social medias as long as you do the hashtag JRPG July and you tag us in that. So we want to know what you're doing. And that's about it.
It's in full. You don't have to start the game in July. No. It's kind of you are supposed to start the game in July, but we're kind of,
you're breaking up.
Halfway. Halfway long, 10 minutes into it. You can start.
What is happening?
Can you guys hear me?
You were breaking up real bad. We can hear you though.
I can't even see you.
So I got a message saying I think it's because I'm off screen. I'm putting pizzas in the freezer. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, JRPG July. So you don't actually have to start the game in July, just in case you're like, if you're 10 hours into a 40-hour game, why not? Just play it.
Okay. Well, I wish I had known that because I've got like several RPGs that are close to finished.
No, you assholes have to.
Oh, okay.
You're hosts of an RPG podcast. You have to stick to the rules. But no, I've had a few people on Twitter say, "Hey, does it? Like, I'm already like 10 hours into a game that's like 60 hours long. Does that matter?" It's like, nah, just tweet about it. It's fine. It's all part of the community, so we all want to stick together. We don't want to be harsh people.
Do what you want. Yeah. Just play JRPGs and tweet about it.
Yeah.
So Scott, you're playing Final Fantasy V, aren't you?
Yep.
How's that going?
I already talked about that, Bill.
Yeah, you missed it.
I'm enjoying it. I like it. It's a little cookie cutter. The story is like not super engrossing or anything, but it's a fun like light RPG.
Yeah. I resent people calling it cookie cutter because back when it came out, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the mold of what things were to come.
Well, the story is not even as complex as 4's was.
Or 2's no, even, probably. No, well, the story kind of gets going about the midway point, to be honest. Okay. So you've got a little while to go before it starts getting really good. I mean, you probably haven't even met X-Death, have you?
Nope. The words X-Death have not been muttered yet by anyone.
Excellent. So yes, you've got a lot of good stuff to come, and I have to say this game is one of the best moments in RPG history, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
For me, it was never the big moment in this game was never spoiled for me. So it just came completely fresh. And I was just like, oh my God, when it happened, like gut punch. Just absolutely loved it.
I already know everything. So
yeah, I know what you're like. I know you've gone and researched every single Final Fantasy game on the planet, even if you haven't played it.
Yeah, but I'm still looking forward to it. Like I said, I am enjoying it. So I'm on the fire-powered ship. So I guess I will probably surpass you soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So should we talk about that? That's where I am as well.
I did already tell them your issues with the liquid flame.
I hate liquid flame. So just to explain, because I'm doing the 4-job fiesta, I've rolled so far the chemist and the berserker job, but I haven't got to the crystal yet that unlocks the chemist job. So all I've got is 4 berserkers, and that just means they are in attack mode all the time. You can't control them. And the liquid flame boss, like if you attack him, sometimes he does a fire attack on himself to heal himself. And like he is just like I've grinded up a couple of levels and I'm still going back in there, and he's like wiping my party in like 2 or 3 rounds.
Yikes.
And it's just like I can't do this. So I may just convert to a casual run, or I may just buy some ice rods and break some rods in his face to kill him quickly, and then just move on with my life and just pretend like it never happened.
So what is the difference between what you're doing a chaos run? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm doing what's called a pure chaos run. So the idea is that it favors the later crystals in the game. If that makes sense, because if you can do a normal run, which will favor the early crystals, because when you get to the water crystal, you can only get water crystal jobs. When you get to the wind crystal. I know that's the wrong way around. When you get to the wind crystal, you can get wind jobs. When you get to the water crystal, you can get water and wind jobs. So that run kind of favors the early crystals.
Gotcha.
Whereas the chaos run's been purposely built to favor the later crystals to give people sort of like a completely different challenge. And you can also do a natural run, which means depending on which crystal you get, you will get a job from that crystal. So I think the natural run's probably the best thing for someone starting, like dipping their toes into the Fiesta. That's what I did. And yeah, but I thought I'd go for pure chaos this year, and it's kind of punched me in the face.
Yeah, I think if I ever play FF5 again after this, it'll definitely be for the Fiesta. I'd like to get on that at some point.
It's really good because, like, I mean, I always thought like there was no way I was ever going to use a chemist job in a normal run of the game, and then I got it in the 4-job Fiesta, and it's just like, and I've got it this year as well actually, and it is the best job in the game by a country mile.
Yeah,
it's just amazing, the chemist job, and you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, the chemist, that's the job I want.
I've got a small spreadsheet of what classes I want to pick for each character. So, yeah. So,
Scott, man, you've got to master them all.
Oh,
you've got to master them all. And then go
to master a class, do you just have to get like their last ability, like their level 6, level 7 ability, or do you actually have to like level it to 99 somehow?
No. Different classes only have like a couple of levels. Some of them have ridiculous amounts. Like Berserker only has 2 levels.
Yeah.
For instance. Because there's not really much you can learn from being Berserk, but the Berserker role gives you a huge stat boost to your attack bonus. I think it's like plus 44.
There is a Steam achievement for leveling all the jobs with every character. So,
and I know what you're like, Scott.
That means
that's why every week I'm going to say you've got to do it all.
That means I'll have to grind. I assume that means I'll have to grind Galoof way before the end of the game, which is unfortunate. But
I don't know if it counts. Will it count for Cal? No, I think that's interesting. I don't want to talk about that just in case spoilers.
Spoilers for this like 25-year-old game, 30-year-old game. How old is it?
Yeah, but it was only released in English, like on the PlayStation 1. Nobody ever played that version because it was crap.
It was shit. I remember I played it for about 20 minutes. And I was like, nope.
Oh, it's god awful. I like the fact that you've modded your Steam version.
Yeah, the only thing I did was there was like a mod to replace the character portraits with like portraits that look closer to their actual sprite. So like it gives Lena's portrait pink hair and Ferris's purple, Bart's brown. That was a pretty easy mod that I did. I wanted to find like a mod that sort of cleans up the visuals and the UI, but surprisingly I couldn't find one, even though somebody told me there was one out there. But yeah,
Square's actually improved the UI a lot of the Steam version. But anyway, let's not go into that too much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do a review of that eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So one more thing we got to talk about. We're having a review contest on the podcast. So if you give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher, you will get we will pick the best review, and the winner will get a haste. So they'll get to haste a game forward on the list. So we still haven't gotten any to my knowledge, and the contest is ending the Sunday after this releases. So I know we said the 9th before, but we're extending it to that following Sunday, which will be the 12th. Looking at my calendar here. So yeah, guys, please go and give us a review. It's the best way to help out the show, other than maybe becoming a patron.
Yeah, I'm desperate for someone to vote for Phantasy Star 4 so that we can play it before we play Phantasy Star 3.
Make Rich play it.
Yep.
I hate you all.
Because the slot where it is, the game directly afterwards is Phantasy Star 3. So I just think it'd be hilarious to play the best Phantasy Star followed by the worst Phantasy Star.
Right. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, you guys ready to get to the news?
Do it.
Okay.
News.
Hear ye, gather round for all your news. Stop your clatter and listen close. Alas, you won't believe your ears. Listen close for the news.
Do you have the dock in front of you, Bill, or can you not see it? Are you still loading groceries?
I can't see it. I'm still loading groceries.
Okay. Can you talk about what the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Light Edition is?
Oh yeah, that was quite a good little surprise that Square Enix put out there. So you can just download the Light Edition, and I believe you can actually just play through the first 3 dungeons of the game.
Yes.
And then if you connect online with your friends, and I believe there is also cross platform support, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can connect with whoever you want in the world who's bought the game, and then you can play through the first. Was it 12 or 11 dungeons?
13, and I counted. Apparently, there's 14 dungeons. So my guess is they just didn't want people with the light edition to be able to actually beat the game.
Yeah, I know, because you'll just end up having someone who's bought the game then hosting it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if you've got the light edition, then you have to play through it. Well, I thought that was a really nice touch of Square because I say that, I reckon their pre-sales for the game must have been quite poor.
Yeah,
and so
maybe.
they're just like, one of the big selling points of the game is going to be the fact that you can do multiplayer, because the single player of Crystal Chronicles is quite crap.
Yep.
But the multiplayer options are really good. So I think they're thinking, okay, if we can get more people in, but then take away the carrot of they can't finish the final bit of the game, then more people will buy it.
Yeah.
Square
I mean,
is so good at like squeezing every single penny out of it.
That's true, but like even what they're offering, I feel like that's super generous. Like it's basically play almost the whole game for free as long as you know somebody that owns it. And the first 3 dungeons, you can get a lot of life out of that because the way Crystal Chronicles is structured, you repeat dungeons a lot. So
yeah, pre-sales must have been really bad.
Maybe. I know a lot of people are excited about it. I am not really, just because I didn't really like it on the GameCube. But we talked about it before. Maybe it will be a lot more fun when it's easier to play with other people.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
Yeah. So good on Square for introducing that. Okay, our next story. We've talked about this a couple times on the show before. The Harry Potter RPG that has been there's been leaked trailers and rumored stuff coming out about it all the time. But it's like a full scale AAA console Harry Potter RPG. So the new rumor is that it will be released late 2021 on the Xbox Series X and PS5, and that it will be revealed sometime after August officially. However, the word on the street here is that the developers are very worried and concerned about the success of the game with JKR's recent tirades on Twitter with all the trans stuff she's been going on about. That's I can make a whole podcast episode about that, being a huge Harry Potter nerd myself, but we won't dive into that here. But I will still, it's assuming this game looks good whenever it's revealed. Like I can separate the art from the artist personally. So I'm still looking forward to the RPG, and I hope we'll get to see more of it soon.
It just makes me laugh.
I've not heard anything about that.
Really? You're the British one.
Yeah, wait a minute. How do you not know about
it? We don't care about Harry Potter anymore. It's just like the final book came out years ago. Who cares?
Well, they're still releasing new content for it like all the time. Like they have really turned it into a massive brand at this point.
I know they're trying to Final Fantasy it.
Right. I would say Harry Potter's bigger than Final Fantasy at this point. Maybe not in video games, but
oh yeah, not in video games. They've only got those like there's like 1 or 2 decent ones on the Game Boy, and everything else is crap.
I've heard that the Quidditch World Cup is fun. And I've
did you play that Pokemon Go game that they released as well?
I did not. Did you?
No, that's what I mean.
I've heard that one was decent.
Yeah, because you could like go around and fight Dementors and stuff. In augmented reality world. Yeah.
I've also heard that the Lego Harry Potter games are fun. Although
yeah, I've heard that.
I'm not a big fan of the Lego games in general, but yeah, so that's basically all we know about this Harry Potter RPG. But hopefully we'll see more soon, apparently, after August. You're up next, Rich.
You're a wizard, Harry. Sorry, it just makes me laugh every time. Okay, so
wizard Harry.
Yeah. RPG Maker MV coming to PlayStation 4 and Switch September 8th. Not sure if anybody's ever played this before or tried it.
When I added this, I was curious to see if either of you had ever played an RPG.
I have.
How are they?
It's a little tricky.
So
you gotta know what to do on them. Like there's tutorials and stuff you need to watch in order to do it.
At that point, just learn Unity or something like that.
I think I played like RPG Maker 6 back in like 97 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made a town. It was like there.
Yeah. When I saw this, I assumed RPG Maker MV. I assumed the MV was a Roman numeral, but then I looked it up and that means 1005. I know there's been a
Use the
lot of these
version.
suckers, but
No, I think it's just the versions of like updates and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, if anybody likes making RPGs, look forward to that. All right, the releases. What came out last week, Bill?
So we had Little Town Hero Big Idea Edition. What? On something called an Xbox One. Never heard that console. I assume only losers have them.
Mine is collecting dust.
And also that came out on July 3rd, and also Crosscode for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch came out on July 9th.
Which way the day this podcast releases? I don't know what Crosscode is though.
So it hasn't come out. It's a lie.
So this coming week,
we're lying to you, patrons. We're lying.
The patrons get confused. Yeah. This coming week, Sword Art Online, Alicization Lycoris. That's coming PS4, Xbox One, and PC on July 10th.
those are made up words.
They're not. Sword Art Online is great. I don't care what anyone says.
I saw Bill pumping his fist. Or do you know anything about this?
No. I just like Sword Art. I like Sword Art Online. And if they're pumping out more content, then I'm a happy man.
Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town comes out on Switch and PC July 10th in Europe, July 14th in North America. So you Europeans get to enjoy it for 4 extra days. I think that's like a Harvest Moon type game or Stardew Valley-ish, maybe.
Boring.
Void, TRLM, open paren, close paren, exclamation mark, / void terrarium. Somebody is coding. They literally wrote code into their video game title.
There is no exclamation mark there.
That comes out
again, people.
on PS4 and Switch, July 10th in Europe, July 14th in North America. I just kind of want to look into that just to see what that fucking title is about.
Now the next game.
And then there's Paper Mario: The Origami King on Switch, July 17th, which I'll probably end up picking it up. It's not the return to form for the Paper Mario series that we've all been hoping for, but it looks like a fun romp.
Nice.
And
how do you know it hasn't come out?
Just from the trailers, and they've already revealed like how the gameplay works and all that.
I reckon it's the best Super Paper Mario game ever.
The 1,000-Year Door on the GameCube is the one everybody loves, and then people also love the original on 64. But since then, with Sticker Star on the DS or 3DS, I think, and Color Splash on the Wii U, although some people liked Color Splash, it's like they were so different from the games before that the first two that people just really want more like the first two. But oh well, Nintendo seems to not care what we want. So yeah, that's it for the news. So with all that out of the way, we're going to take...
I was waiting for a transition. So with all that out of the way, we're going to take a quick break before we start the show.
Ooh.
I thought it'd be a transition noise after Paper Mario.
That's
right.
Hilarious.
We have rode the struggle bus on this first part of the show.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't get to talk about bloody Tales of Vesperia.
I told them that you were liking it.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm like I'm nearly 5 hours in now. 13% complete on Elysee. And yeah, really, really good.
Nice. All right, so are we ready to jump into everything else here? Rich, you're going to start us after I hit the ding.
All right, ready? Let's do this.
Okay.
And we are back. Let's get into the review for the story time, people. Gather around as we tell the story of Grayness, Valmar, and a talking bird. Time to review Bill's big, enormous weight. God damn it, Bill. Okay, let's get back to the Grandia II review. Let's do this.
Jesus Christ.
Where? Look busy. So before we start, I have a correction, self-nominated one on last week's show. I got my wires very much crossed between game arts and working designs. In fact, I told you something that wasn't true, Scott.
What was that?
So Game Arts did publish this game, but Working Designs didn't work on the translation or anything for this game. Game Arts did it all.
Did Working Designs work on the designs?
Nope.
Oh.
I don't think Working Designs had anything to do with this. So apologies about that, because we got into great length about it, because Working Designs did do the translations for several Game Arts games, and they also did the translation for Alandra, which is why I got confused. So Working Designs did the translation on the Lunar series games, and they did it on Alandra, but they had nothing to do with Grandia.
Well, I'm glad you corrected that historical inaccuracy.
Yeah, because I said it like 4 or 5 different. Yeah, I said it like 4 or 5 different times during the review, and each time I was like cringing. So, that's not right.
So stupid.
Is that right, man?
All right, so for the story, we'll start off with the setting here. Basically, the game takes place in a fantasy world. Last week, Rich and Bill told me that the world is actually called Grandia. I still don't know if that's actually true or not, but
can't guarantee that for Grandia 2. I'm pretty sure Grandia 1 was called Grandia.
Yeah, they. I know that the continent that this takes place on is like East Silesia or West Silesia or something like that. So it primarily takes place on the continent of Silesia, where the religion of Grayness is basically rampant. So a long time ago, it was like 1,000 years ago, there was a battle between good and evil, with the good god being Grayness and the evil god, which you can basically liken to the devil, being Valmar. And basically they had a great war. Apparently Grayness was able to vanquish Valmar and seal him away into 7 different pieces. And in the battle, his giant sword, the Grayness saber, cleaved like a giant ravine into like just a cliff in the middle of the continent, sort of separating it into 2 different pieces.
This is how you talk dirty to Corey.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to separate you into pieces.
How would you describe the Grayness Cliffs? Would you say a giant ravine?
I mean,
or
considering how old it's supposed to be, it's completely clean, isn't it? So it looks like a huge like scar on the planet. I think they even describe it like that a few times. But yeah, it is literally just like a Grand Canyon, but it just down and across.
Yeah, right.
Without any little bits in it.
Yep. So basically the basic setup of the story is you play as the Geohound Ryudo, and a Geohound is basically like a mercenary, more or less, except for people like pay them to do jobs, except for some reason that I don't think was ever quite explained. People look down on Geohounds, see them as like filthy and vile.
Yeah, but also like Ryudo's the only Geohound we ever meet, and this like the whole premise of what a Geohound is or anything is never explained. It's like, yeah,
True.
This is what he is. People don't like it, and he doesn't care.
So through a series of events, which we will dive into shortly, Ryudo ends up with a job to escort a church songstress, Elena, to the holy capital where the Pope lives and all that. And although Ryudo is kind of like an asshole, he, through his travels with Elena and the others, he ends up warming up, and they uncover a plot to revive Valmar. And that's the basic setup of what this game is about. So do we want to talk about the characters or just launch straight into the story?
Well, I definitely want to talk about Sky at some point.
Okay, so
I've got beef with Sky.
Okay, well, why don't you just go ahead and get
your beef out there.
Get it off your chest.
So Ryudo, see, first of all, I've got beef with the fact that Ryudo's a Geohound, and it's just like there's no guild or anything or no explanation of what it is. But apparently, you leave a note in a tree, and a Geohound will find it and do a job for you. Like, seems really inefficient. Like, what if he doesn't see it, or what if the wind blows that note away? You're just going to sit and wait for ages. Going, oh, there's no bloody Geohound coming. Like, considering the job that he turns up for as well, he turns up just as everyone's leaving to do it. It's just like, if he'd have missed that by 5 minutes, he'd have missed the job. Anyway, seems like a terrible way to make a living. But yes, Ryudo has I was going to say a pet bird, but it's not a pet, is it? It's like his best friend.
It's more like his partner.
Yes, which is this hawk called Sky. And it's a talking bird, which first of all somehow has the strength to actually carry Ryudo slightly as well.
Sort of,
yeah. I know he's falling down, but realistically, he would drop like a rock.
Yeah, he's a strong falcon.
Yeah, and also they never do, like, this is right at the beginning of the game. He's like, Ryudo's pissing off some lizard things, and yeah, he rides on the falcon basically by holding onto its legs to get away. But we never do that again either. Like, there's lots of occasions, like, to save me climbing down ladders.
Yeah, that would be nice. I know that there's the flying 10-second slash where Sky will carry your enemy into the sky and then drop them.
So this is one strong bird. But again, we never meet any other hawks in the game that can talk. Only
Isn't
Sky.
there a couple times where people are surprised that it can talk?
I don't remember that. But I remember being like, a lot of people didn't seem surprised. It was just being like, as if it was a completely normal thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
where has Sky come from? Like, we traveled the whole world in this game.
Just got to suspend your disbelief a little bit on that, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my thing about Sky. But,
well, my complaint, if as long as we're talking about Sky, the only purpose of Sky as a character is to explain Ryudo's backstory later in the game. Like, other than that, he serves no purpose in the plot. Although I will say I do like Ryudo and Sky's rapport, because they insult each other constantly, and a lot of times it's really funny. Like Ryudo will say something like, "Shouldn't you be ramming your beak into a tree by now?" or something like that.
Yeah, I do. Generally, I like Sky, but I was a bit like, I was just expecting a bit more to come out of talking birds as a species, rather than it just being the only one.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just explain like who the individual characters are as we get to them in the story. So basically the game opens with Ryudo doing a geohound job. He ends up fighting some lizard men. Sky carries him away to safety, and he completes the job. And they ask him to go. What's the note that he finds? It asks him to go to Carbo Village?
Yeah, it's basically there's a job for you in Carbo Village.
Yep. So you go to Carbo Village, which has some really good music. And you talk to the head of the church there. He wants Ryudo to protect the songstresses of Grayness who are going to Grandia Tower to do some kind of ceremony.
Specifically, though, he wants him to protect Elena.
Right.
He's not there to protect all of them, I don't think.
He's supposed to take Elena to the tower, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the other ones have left ahead of her, haven't they?
Right. And so Ryudo is like a really rude asshole, and Elena is like this very pious, like uppity, almost snooty, I would say, church lady. So they don't get along immediately because he's so crass and she's the opposite of that. And Ryudo is one of my favorite protagonists ever, just because he has, especially in like the first half of the game, he has like no filter. Like he will say exactly what's on his mind, and he has no holds barred about insulting people or anything like that.
It's pretty nice.
There's a few times throughout the game where he tells Elena she's gained some weight, stuff like that. But yeah, so he takes her to Grandia Tower. She goes inside. He's not allowed to follow her. He just has to like sort of wait outside the tower. But in the middle of the night, there's like this huge, something is obviously wrong. Ryudo hears some screams. So he ascends the tower. It seems there's like monsters everywhere inside the tower. And it seems that whatever ceremony the songstresses were doing has failed. And come to find out that basically they were doing a ceremony to strengthen the seal on one of the pieces of Valmar, which turns out to be the wings of Valmar. So all the songstresses except for Elena are dead. And Ryudo seems to like sort of stop something that's happening to Elena. She's like surrounded by electricity, being attacked by whatever Valmar force is going on there.
You can sort of see these wings protruding from Elena all of a sudden, can't you? She's like suspended in midair, and he just runs into her and pushes her out of it, which seems to, like you say, it seems to stop whatever is happening.
Right. So Ryudo takes her back to Carbo Village.
Well, wait, you're not going to explain about how they escaped from this huge tower.
He jumps out of a window.
Down. Jumps out of a window and like zip lines away. It's like Final Fantasy VII, plates falling down. You can't skip that bit, man.
They do that. They get back to Carbo Village. I didn't actually remember that part, so I didn't say it. But...
yeah, I just remember that. It was so good, him getting in it. Well, I did it twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like, pumping her out the thing, jumping on, doing this big zip line. Where's this zip line attached to? Who knows? Who cares? It's an RPG.
Exactly.
It's a trope. He's saving her life.
You get back to Carbo Village. Elena like goes to bed or whatever. And so basically the village leader, the church leader there, he thinks that since the seal on Valmar has been broken, Elena has been, he thinks, what is it exactly he wants you to do? I know he wants you to take her to the Pope, but he doesn't explain why. Like, you don't know that she's actually possessed by a piece of Valmar yet.
Something about taking her virginity.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
correct.
no. We do. He does suspect because Ryudo tells him what happened. He does suspect that she is possessed by the wings of Alma.
Right.
So he says, "I want you to take her to the cathedral, speak to the Pope, because he will be able to extract the wings from her."
Right. So in the
But
middle of the night,
I don't think at this point Elena realizes it yet.
yep. In the middle of the night, a mysterious woman named Millennia. She's got luscious red hair, and she's very she's got tits for days. But she
All day.
she
All
appears to
day.
be like this evil demon, like she's a force of Valmar. So she sort of like starts to burn down the town a little bit. Ryudo tries to stop her, but she is too powerful. Although even from the beginning, she seems to like think Ryudo's attractive and have a small crush on him. So Millennia is actually a very important character, but we'll get to more about why that is soon. But anyway, Millennia leaves. I can't remember. She doesn't exactly get driven off. She just like threatens them, kind of.
Well, no, because she kind of wins the fight, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Like,
she
does
kicks
the weird
Ryudo's ass.
electricity thing to hold Ryudo in place, and then just goes, "I'll come back later," because
Right.
cute sort of thing. And then I think this is the moment where the priest, like in the morning, the priest then explains to Elena the fact that she has been possessed by the wings of Valmar, and that Ryudo needs to take her to go see the Pope.
Right. And
know.
although he is reluctant, they offered him quite a nice bit of money for the job. So he
Well, it was a
ended-
golden statue, wasn't it?
something
It
like that.
sits in your inventory the whole time. You can sell it for a good chunk of money.
I
But
never did that.
just-
Probably should have.
no? Well, you're a completionist. You just want to keep it, wouldn't you?
Probably.
But yeah, so he gives you the golden statue, and off we trot to the Ingor Mountains.
And at this point,
Uh,
Elena officially joins the party. Like you can use her in battle.
Yeah. So we trot with Elena, and she is a whiny little bitch.
Yep, she
Yes,
whines
she is.
constantly. To
Yeah.
be fair, Ryudo is like a total dick to her
I
at
know.
this point. But
I'm very torn at this part of the game between whether I think Elena's overly whiny or Ryudo's overly an arsehole.
little
It's just
column
like-
A, little column B.
Yeah, exactly. So they're both just winding each other up. But yeah, we're trying to make our way over to is it Agar Town? Agar
Agir?
Town?
Agir? I don't know.
Agir Town? I'm terrible at this sort of stuff. In order so that we could pass through the Baked Plains to get to Lilig City.
Yep.
I think. Yep. So what we do is, as we get to Agar Town, we find out that the cave, or just the whole area, has basically been blocked off by these monsters. So there's a bunch of guards. Who these guards work for, we don't really know. There doesn't seem to be any major power operating this area of the world, but
Yeah.
there's some knights here doing something, and they won't let us through. And then we meet someone called Rowan and a traveling troupe of circus people who are taking the piss out of him. And he's lost his mother's medallion. And so Ryudo, despite being an arsehole, saying he's not going to help the kid and like all that stuff. And this is the bit where Elena gets drunk all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah, Elena gets like drunk off of the bar and she goes to
Yeah.
bed.
She's
But
eating like
then,
some free nuts at the bar and it gets her really drunk. It's like-
Yes, apparently.
yeah, really strange.
And then Millennia shows back up. I can't remember exactly how, but I remember her being in the bar and being the one that convinces Ryudo to help Rowan. He's
Well,
so cute.
She shows up in Ryudo's room. She's just like, shows up there. She puts the lightning thing on Ryudo and Sky so they can't move. And then she says like, hey, I'm just going to follow you guys around for a bit.
Yeah,
go
I remember
downstairs.
finding
Just
this part a little
accept it.
odd because, like, her first appearance, she seemed like she was going to be like a total, like, major villainous force, and then the next time she shows up, she's like, "I'm joining your party now."
I'm enjoying your party. I just want to see what you can do, sort of thing. You interest me, type thing. And then yeah, so you go downstairs. You find out that this kid Rowan has actually gone deep into this Durham cave in order to find his mum's lost medallion. And then so Millennia, yourself, travel down and find Rowan in the cave, and then you have to fight this giant Minotaur boss to retrieve his medallion. And so this is kind of like the first softening of Ryudo's character.
Yeah,
Because-
he also like he keeps telling like Rowan and Millennia like this isn't a daycare. Like I don't need to take care of like some toddler. And Rowan's not really a toddler. He's like 12-ish years old, it seems. Do we know what
Just a
his
little
official
guy.
age?
I don't know. I want to say sort of 14, 15, considering what happens to him later in the game and what he ends up sort of.
He's very
how-
mature for his age.
Well,
so.
Yeah, but the way his life goes later in the game and what he ends up having to do, it's just like, yeah, you should be a bit older.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility for someone you're so young. But
I actually do kind of like Rowan, but we've talked about this last week, but his voice is awful.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
his character is okay, and his arc is brilliant, but him and his voice actor just need to die.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mr. Voice Actor.
we'll talk about voice acting at some point since we didn't really last week, but there's good voice acting in this game, I think, and then there's terrible voice acting, and it just depends on the character.
But yeah, but upon rescuing Rowan and his thing, and he's obsessed with Millennia. He's like, "Oh, Miss Millennia." Oh, Miss
Doesn't she
Millennia.
like pull him into a hug like directly into her breasts at one
Yeah,
point?
I'm pretty sure he motivates her at that point as well. It's just like
So jealous.
I'm pretty sure he gets motivated by Elena at the very end of the game as well.
True.
When she's in a Bavarian beer outfit. And yeah, so we come out of the cave, and then suddenly Millennia says, "Oh, I've got to go now, so I'll speak to you guys later," and then turns into Elena. And this is where we find out that Millennia and Elena, spoilers, are one of the same.
Yep.
Sort
So
of.
I could see how it would be very easy to predict this in hindsight, but the first time I was like watching through the game, I did not see that coming. I thought that was like a great twist. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I did not see that coming at all either. I was just like, oh wow, okay.
Basically,
This is what they're doing.
Yep. Millennia is the wings of Valmar, and she has possessed Elena. They share the same body, and Millennia can basically take over whenever she fancies.
I don't think she can. I think one of the reasons she sort of becomes more and more into the story later on is because she's able to take over more and more.
Mhm.
Whereas it seems like just in certain situations. So the first two times she's appeared so far was when she attacked the church. Elena was asleep, and in Agar Town, again, Millennia had got drunk and gone. Elena had got drunk and gone to sleep. So the two times she was asleep, Millennia was able to take over. And then later on, it's like when Valmar, when they're near parts of Valmar and stuff, she comes out. So I think there's like a correlation there between her getting stronger and possessing Elena more and more, because Ryudu initially interrupted her possessing Elena during that first ceremony.
So I guess if Ryudo hadn't interrupted it, she would have like fully possessed her like the other parts of Valmar due to the other
and
characters.
Then just become Valmar, the wings of Valmar, as she was. But as it is, that we've kind of got two people in one body, and you have to remember to switch out their equipment every time they change.
Yep. Yeah, because you have no control over who you're using in battle. It's just whatever point you're at in the story. Most of the time it's Elena, but in certain sections, Millennia will take over.
Yeah, she'll take over, and in certain times she'll lose control, and you can't control her either.
Yep.
Anyway, we spoke about that last week. So yeah, this is where we head off to the Baked Plains, and this is where we meet Marek. Is it Marek?
Marek.
I don't know. Marek. Yes. Nothing can defeat his blade. Just in case you didn't know.
Nothing can withstand my blade.
Yeah, just in case you didn't know. Nothing can withstand Marek's blade. But he actually attacks us on our way. Apparently, Ryudu stinks.
Yeah, he's like this big buff beast man. Think like a really buff Kamari.
Well, he's basically Gadwin from the first game, but they have made him into a Kamari type character where he is all furry.
Yep.
But yeah, he's just like big, beefy character, really overpowered, and we have to fight him because he thinks Ryudu smells. It's making him angry. But after the fight finishes, we find out that the reason he thought he smelled was because he smelt a lot like the smell of someone who destroyed Mareg's village.
Right.
As I think this is why they did the whole beast thing. Animals have really good sense of smells, apparently. And then we find out that it was a guy called Memphis. So this is all revealed to us at this point. This isn't me like spoiling stuff later on. Memphis was the guy who destroyed Mareg's town, and that happens to be Ryudu's brother.
Yep, his older brother, and that's why Marek mistook his smell.
Yes, and then Ryudu's for the next 20 hours of the game is very cryptic about his brother until we get the full reveal.
Yep, Ryudo wants to find Memphis too. He's like, you know anything about my brother? But we, like you said, we don't learn about the backstory and all that until way later.
So, but we don't recruit Marek until the next town.
Right.
we have to go one more scene forward, basically. We get to the next town where there's a bunch of starving people. And this is the town where we need to get on this really weird upside down monorail to get across the Grayness Cliffs.
Yep.
because the cathedral's on the other side of the cliffs. So we're supposed to take this monorail across the grounds, but it's currently not operational because everyone in the town can't taste food.
Yep. In typical Grandia fashion, pretty much every village you come to has some kind of major problem that you have to solve before moving on. So yeah, the one here is that people have lost, they can't stomach anything. They've lost their sense of taste. The only thing they can eat is like this really dry, like tasteless root that is apparently disgusting.
Yeah, that's the only thing they can actually they can stomach to eat. And so people are like leaving the town, going to try and find somewhere else to live. But the mayor is just absolutely stuffing his face with everything known to man. He's having a whale of a time. I really want to be the mayor.
For some reason, Mayor Gadon, he's just like, he doesn't have any problem eating. He just has a full course meal. He just like scarfs down the whole time you're talking to him.
The whole time talking.
He's a fatty fat.
It makes some really gross noises, and he has like a Jabba the Hutt looking face.
And then this is one of the things I really like about Grandia, is because when we go and talk to the priest, who basically says, "Oh, you know, we basically built this town on top of some ancient Indian burial ruins, which used to give us good luck, but now apparently it's cursed us." And then we get to, because the church they've in the game they put it overlooking the village, so then you get to see down on the village, and you get to see these weird like things protruding out the ground, which kind of almost look like claws. And just really like that touch of like, those bits are from the ancient
ruins.
And then apparently there's a way down there.
Real quick, when you're talking to Gadon, he makes like some comments about how Elena looks delicious. Like, my dear, you smell really, really nice. And it almost seems like he wants to eat her. And
I think it's the Valmor smell that he can.
Yep. I was about to say that. So basically, what happens here is Marek joins the party. We go because he can smell out what the evil in the town. We make our way into these ruins, which are cut into the cliffs, which again is a really cool moment in the game. That bit where you've gone through like 3 floors of this dungeon, and then you suddenly come out and you're on the edge of the cliff.
I agree.
And like obviously the rest of that dungeon is gone, and it's just like, oh wow, that looks really, really cool. It's just like nice little touches the developers put in there. But yeah, we go down there and we find that it's the town's been cursed because the tongue of Valmar has been released and has possessed the mayor Gadon. So I think Rich is right. I think the reason he says that is because obviously he can smell the wings of Valmar, and for some reason the parts of Valmar, like, they exist in order to consume all the parts of Valmar until there's only one. So it's basically
like natural instinct is to like all merge together so that Valmar can be revived. But they all, it seems like each piece wants to be the dominant piece somehow.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but yeah. But yeah, I think Rich is right. I think Gadon can smell Valmar.
Yep. So you have your first Valmar piece boss fight here. Real quick, all the Valmar pieces, they are like really like disturbing, like eldritch horror designs.
Yeah, man.
But I didn't really have too many problems with the tongue. It was not easy necessarily because it's still so early in the game, but it wasn't particularly hard either.
He was pretty much one of the easy ones. I was just zapping him until he died. Yeah. He wasn't too bad because he actually eats Millennia. He actually eats Elena, doesn't he? And then Millennia suddenly appears.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, you can't eat my host."
Yep. So Millennia basically, once you defeat the tongue, absorbs the tongue of Valmar into herself. So apparently Millennia just wants to like get all the pieces as you find them. But in order to do that, it basically devours the soul of the host. So basically Gadon is no longer, he's just like an empty body at this point.
Yeah, he's like comatose, isn't he?
Yeah. Yep. I don't think it's a loss or anything at that point. They're like, whatever.
We don't know what he was like before he was possessed. He might have been a really nice guy.
Yeah, well, now he's not. Now he's dead.
But anyway, this allows us to now cross the Grayness Cliffs.
And all the villagers can eat again.
Yeah, all the villagers can eat again. We cross the Grayness Cliffs, but again, nothing goes quite to plan. The moon of Valmar shines slightly brighter, which apparently causes the monorail to fall apart.
Yes. Oh, so
by the way, there's a moon.
Maybe
of
we
Valmar.
should have mentioned that in the setting. There's like apparently after Valmar was defeated, a giant bloody red moon appeared in the sky, and it's supposed to be like an omen that Valmar will return again one day. And that day is called the Day of Darkness. So that's like something that everybody is trying to delay and prevent, or like the purpose of the Grayness religion. So they cross the Grayness Cliffs. The monorail crashes. There's a cool scene here where Millennia appears to Elena in a mirror and just kind of like taunts her. I can't remember exactly what she tells her, but
you're not going to be good enough for Ryudo, I think, and you can't get his love. I love him. That kind of stuff. I think that's what it is.
Ryudo's mine type thing.
You're already getting like sort of inklings that Elena and Ryudo are starting to like each other. Like it's one of those things where after you torture each other enough, you start to get a crush, I guess. There's a couple scenes throughout here where like they sort of have heart-to-heart conversations a little bit. But anyway, so you get out of this forest that you crashed in and you arrive in a village called Miramu Village. And this is one of my favorite. Well, right before you get there, you go to like a garden of dreams and meet this little green-haired girl named Ira. And basically she just talks about how the garden is a dream. It's where all people can come and like live out their best days or something like that. It's really weird and mysterious, like creepy little girl.
Yeah, she asks Elena not to eat her.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So they arrive in Miramu Village. This is one of my favorite parts of the game. So basically the problem here is that people are falling asleep and just not waking up, and they're just dreaming endlessly, and they'll just fall asleep out of nowhere. So the problem is they think that there's a woman in town named Sandra they think she's a witch and that she somehow cursed everybody because she is the mother of
the witch.
Yep, the mother of Ira. And apparently Ira used to be blind, and then all of a sudden one day she wasn't, just like a miraculous cure. But whenever she was healed, that's when people started falling asleep. So the people are excited because they've summoned the church to come and like help deal with the situation. So they think when Elena arrives that she's the priestess that's being summoned, but that's not the case, and there's nothing anybody can do. But then they meet Ira and Sandra and sort of learn like what the town's deal is. Then the high priestess Celine arrives with a crew of church knights, and Celine is kind of like a secondary antagonist in this game. I really like her character though, because she's like supposed to be all pious and holy, but she like has a take no prisoners approach to dealing with.
Clearly mad with power.
Yeah. So everybody's like shocked because basically Celine is threatening to, like, if they don't find out where the darkness is coming from, that they'll be forced to just like burn down the whole village.
She calls it a cleansing, doesn't she?
Yep, a holy
We need
cleansing.
to cleanse it. And then Ryo's like, what do you mean by cleansing? She's like, we're going to cleanse.
Ryudo's like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, you're just going to burn everyone.
Yeah.
So you go into a dungeon called the Mysterious Fissure, and is this before or after you get woken up by the eyeballs? Right.
That is, I thought that was after the eyeballs show up.
So you stay the night, and in the middle of the night, Ryudo starts having like nightmares about I think Memphis and his past and stuff. The eyeballs are forcing him to relive bad memories. He wakes up and there's like a giant floating creepy eyeball in the window, which is very creepy. So they all wake up and they find out that the innkeeper, who was like a minor character, she is now fallen asleep too. And so they chase the eyeballs to the Mysterious Fissure, basically find out that the seal on another piece of Valmar, the Eye of Valmar, has been broken. One thing leads to another. They eventually surmise that Ira is possessed by the little girl is possessed by the Eye of Valmar. So I think Celine...
She has an eye in her forehead.
Yep. Celine eventually also figures out that Sandra and Ira are like the source of the darkness. And so
she's just blaming Sandra because everyone in the town's told her Sandra's a witch.
Right.
So she's like, well, logically, I've got to burn the witch.
They basically go to kill Sandra and Ira, and Rito and Elena are like, are you fucking crazy? They like defend them. It's revealed like Ira's hair gets pushed aside and she has like a third eye on her forehead, like Bill just revealed. And then so they're like having a big argument about whether or not to actually kill Ira and all that. Like, and even Sandra is like, I think she calls her daughter a monster for a second. So Ira runs off, and basically there's this big confrontation between the knights and all that, but none of the knights are talking. None of them say anything. They just follow Celine's orders. There's a reason for that, which we'll find out later. I think there's even one line, if you talk to them, Rowan or Merrick sees something like, I saw a flash of red in their eyes or something like that.
Yeah, I still don't get what it is.
Well, you come to, it's a big spoiler for later, so we'll cover that when we get
Yeah,
there.
we'll come to it later.
So you go you follow Ira to the garden, and you basically, this dungeon is like her dreams, and it's like really fucked up. Like there's eyeballs in the sky everywhere. That it's like really creepy. But they're having this argument because the only way to save Ira would be for Millennia to absorb the soul or the Eye of Valmar, but that will have the effect of, making Ira comatose, destroy her spirit or whatever, which Millennia doesn't care about, but Rito is like, fuck no, because this is where you start to see like Rito does care about people. So you defeat the Eye of Valmar. Unfortunately, Millennia.
Wait.
Yep.
Sorry, you enter Arya's mind, you ride a wow, and then you defeat the Eye of Valmar after 7 tries.
This reminded me of that part in Grandia 1 where like you exit a collapsing dungeon on a flying manta ray that just comes out of nowhere. And it's like, we're doing this now. But at least we're in a dream this time.
Yeah, at least we're in a dream. So the flying wow seems, reasonable.
Right. You defeat the Eye of Valmar. They have another argument about whether or not to actually absorb the eye, but Millennia goes ahead and does it. And everybody's like kind of horrified. They can't believe Millennia would do this. But she makes a comment that like, well, if enough people, this is like the flower that's growing here. This is Ira's soul. If enough flowers are grown, she might be able to come back one day.
Yeah, because the moment she absorbed her, the garden disappeared apart from one flower.
Right.
And it's Arya's crying mother, isn't it, Sandra?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, if you cultivate this flower and make this whole garden blossom, then maybe her spirit will come back.
Yeah,
right.
That's a big hope and wish there. It's a lot of work.
Rogue's like, why did you give her hope?
Well, I did really like this part because Millennia sort of makes it seem the whole time like there's nothing that can be done. And then at the end, she's like, well, this could be done. And Rito's like, you knew that the whole time. You do care about other people, not just yourself. And you can't con a con artist to her, basically. I really like that scene. So Sandra, everybody forgives Sandra. They all like start working on the garden together. Selena's like, good thing I didn't have to burn the town. And she heads off. Although I think because of all the conflict, she's like, I'm going to have to report your lack of piety to the Pope, to Elena. And she takes off with the knights. And everything's not saved because Ira is no longer with us. But things move on.
Well, she's comatose on the bed.
Right.
You may or may not come back.
Yep.
It's very true.
And that's basically the end of that little section. After that, you're on your way to the St. Heim, the Pope's state.
Yep.
Papal
so
state.
You go through the high mountains, you make your way through all that. It's kind of a dungeon crawl-ish kind of thing. St. Heim, Papaya state?
Papal.
Papal? Oh, that's an L. Sorry. I can't see that apparently. I was like, does that say Poppy? Then you get to Grayness Cathedral. Now, we talked about this earlier, was the Grayness Cathedral is really well done. I think it's really done. Beautiful. The artwork and the reflection of the floor. It's pretty nice.
When you first enter it, there's that scene of Elena with the other songstresses singing that song. It's like a really cool scene, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody's sad because this is like supposedly the end of the journey. Like they're gonna have to split off from Elena, and the others are just planning to continue hunting Memphis.
Yeah, it's like we'll just go. We'll stick together. Elena, you'll go away. Good luck. Have a great time. Kind of thing of have a good time at summer camp, kind of thing. Well, they'll go off on their own adventure.
Right. There's one time at band camp.
Yeah. But what happens is later on, I guess when everybody gets to like split off on their own in the cathedral, Melina shows up.
Yep. Millennia,
right?
not Melina.
I call it Melina. I don't know why.
Melina.
Yeah, no,
who's
Melina? Melina.
Melina's from Mortal Kombat.
That's right.
I'm an expert at Mortal Kombat.
The Pope calls. He asks for Rito and the others to be called to meet with them.
Yes.
Rito's gone back to being a complete dick again.
Yeah, because he's kind of mad because he loves Elena. He secretly loves her. He pines for her. But
he just doesn't understand that yet.
Yeah. Millennia shows up and is basically like, how dare you? I love you, kind of thing, if I remember correctly. After that whole scene gets played out, then They get called down to meet Zera. Zera explains that he can't really remove the wings of Valmar. You have to go on a journey to get the Grayness saber in order to defeat Valmar. But on the way, you have to gather the rest of the pieces so you can defeat Valmar with the Sword of Grayness.
But he doesn't tell you that part yet.
Oh, he doesn't? I thought he did.
It's something that he tells Elena in private, but Elena doesn't
gotcha.
reveal that until way later. It's
Okay, that's right. And it tells him basically like, hey, don't say nothing, but you need to gather all the pieces so we can do this properly.
He just tells Ryudo that the Grayness saber can be used to defeat Valmar and remove the wings from Elena.
Yep.
But he's a complete dick about it too. It's just like, this is for your mission if you choose to accept it, which Ryudo eventually says, yeah, I'll do this. Is find the Grayness saber. It's like, well, where is it? It's like, well, could be anywhere. And then,
there's also a little scene here where he sort of reprimands Celine. He's like, you acted too harshly at the village, which I enjoyed. But I think at this point, it's just trying to make you like the Pope.
Yeah, definitely. Pope Zero seems like
nice.
a really nice. Yeah, he seems like a really nice old man. Seems to be the only person who's got his head on his shoulders, who seems to see what's coming.
Right.
He's like the big father figure.
Yeah, he's just like, he's the man. He's got a plan, and everyone respects him. So we're really happy to have Pope Zero say, you got to go find the Grayness saber, but I'm not going to give you any information on where it is. And so this is the bit where, Rowan just goes, well, I'm from a town. I'm from the kingdom over. Should we just go there? It's like,
right.
Nothing better to do. got no better clues. So we head off down to is it the Kyrum Kingdom?
I say Cyrum, but I don't think it's ever said out loud, as far as I know.
Okay, so Cyrum Kingdom, and we head into the. Because Rowan, when we arrive, Rowan says, "Oh, I've got a little errand to do," and he runs off. And then we go and sleep overnight, and then he suddenly comes back and goes, "Oh my god, guys, there's some weird stuff going on. We've got to go investigate."
Well, before all that, you sort of have like a date in the town with both Elena and Millennia.
Oh, was that now?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about the date. Is that now?
I thought it was. It was while Rowan's gone.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was later on.
I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah. So we go off on we have a little mini date with Elena, where we're just going around this town. It's quite a cool little town, and then we get to like the market area, and I think we do because you do the what do you call it? The arm wrestle.
The arm wrestling. Did you guys try do this any more than necessary?
No, I won that one and was just like, I've got no idea what just happened or what I just did to win it, but I won it, so I'm just going to carry on. I'm not going to bother.
I tried to get all the prizes, but I couldn't get past like the first few rounds. It's just like fucking hard. I asked Colin in the Discord, and he said that he has done it before, but it's not worth it. And I just didn't want to spend hours there. So apparently the game's like kind of bugged in compared to the Dreamcast version. So
that makes sense.
Did you do it at all, Rich?
No.
Other than the required? Okay.
No, just did the required stuff.
Okay. So what was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, and then we go off. We actually during this date walk off to get Elena a drink, and when we come back, Millennia's there, and Ryudo is
jealous.
Yeah, she's jealous. Ryudo's pissed off that Millennia's shown up. And then this is the bit where Rowan comes back, isn't it?
Yeah, right after this.
Oh, right, okay. So is Millennia in our party?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, she is. Oh, yeah, of course. So Rowan comes back, says, "Oh my God, there's some stuff going on at the castle. We've got to break in. Something bad's going on." But he doesn't actually tell us what. What it turns out is that Rowan is actually the prince of this kingdom.
I didn't see that coming first time through.
No, neither did I. He was such a whiny little git. I kind of thought his whole plot arc was over and he was going to be replaced at some point soon with another character. But yeah, it turns out he's actually the prince of this kingdom. And this kingdom's actually known as the Kingdom of Darkness, who supported Valmar many, many years ago.
They fought on Valmar's side, the townspeople's ancestors.
Yeah, so this is a whole kingdom of evil people. So the king, who is Rowan's dad, obviously, he's going to break an ancient seal in the castle to reveal the kingdom's past to its people for reasons that he won't really explain in full.
Right.
It's just like, I'm going to do this. The seal was broken, and so we go into the seal in order to try and close it. And what we find is actually a factory that makes and produces androids to fight on the side of Valmar.
Yep.
So we descend into here. We end up fighting one of these androids, which is possessed by the claws of Valmar.
Yep.
And we defeat the claws, and then one of these androids, and then the droids that we actually beat up, Merrick decides to rescue.
Yes.
No reason whatsoever.
They call her Tio.
Tio.
And
I love Tio.
Oh, whatever. I hated Tio.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I don't know why. I just hated Tio.
Tio was great.
After we explain her story a little more, we'll go into our opinions on that.
Yeah. Anyways.
I didn't like her at first, but she grew on me. But so you meet Tio, and you've come to find out that basically it was Memphis that was influencing the king to release the darkness. So this is the first time you actually run into Memphis.
And he kicks the crap out of us.
Yep, you have one of those unwinnable fights. Something is going on with Rich's camera. Anyway.
We'll just assume he's masturbating.
All right. So we good?
I hit a button. It's fine. Keep going. Don't worry about
it. The king dies. Basically, Memphis kills him. So Rowan sort of ascends to the throne. He makes this rousing speech to everybody that the people, they don't have to be the people of darkness just because that's their heritage. Doesn't mean that they have to, follow in anybody's footsteps. They can forge their own path. It's a pretty good speech for somebody his age. But he becomes the king, and basically he says that he can't really continue. He's going to stay in the kingdom rather than continue on the journey. But at this point, you immediately get your replacement character. Tio is just sort of lost. She doesn't understand what her purpose is. Doesn't really understand what humans are or what emotions are. She says she has no heart.
And it turns Marek into Mr. Miyagi.
Right. So Marek decides that he's going to take her on and journey with her, and she says she will slowly learn that she does have a heart, basically. So she joins the party, and I do like some of her comments, just like her side dialogue. People will say something totally normal, and she'll be totally confused by that. That lends to some comedy sometimes. But she calls Marek Master for a while.
Master.
Master Marek.
Yep. Okay, so the next thing they decide to do is they need to cross the ocean to find the Grayness saber. And I can't remember exactly why they thought they needed to cross the ocean.
No, I think Ryudo decides that they don't really have any clues still on the Grayness saber, so they just got to go. They've got to go take care of Memphis, who was apparently seen heading towards, don't know how, but their hometown.
Yep, Garland Village.
Don't they know they have to be, because Memphis is possessed by the horns of Grayness?
Yeah, but we don't know. We don't.
I thought they talked about it.
No, that's what we find out next, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was because they already knew about that. Because I think Millennia found out.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, because when he gets away, Millennia's like, darn, I lost the horns or something like that. So yeah, Memphis, Ryudo's brother, is possessed by the horns of Valmar.
Yeah.
So that's why he's so evil now.
Yeah, but we have to get the 50-50 boat to travel.
You get on the boat, which is called the 50-50. You find out that's because there's a 50-50 chance of it crashing.
Super awesome.
What a terrible business model.
Right.
It's just we're going to try and fly across the big cleft that's in the water.
Yeah.
And if you pump this thing hard enough, we might make it.
Yep.
It's you as the captain. Why would you get on that boat every day?
He's a cavalier fella.
Definitely.
So Elena gets seasick. So you stop at this reef called the Cecile Reef, and they camp there overnight. There's a romantic scene here, basically, where Ryudo and Elena basically sort of thank each other for just, they admire each other. They're starting to admit their feelings. They have a heart to heart. And so, it gets mushy there for a minute. But then when they wake up, monsters have invaded the reef. The tide's risen, so they got to get back to the boat. Basically, you just get a little mini dungeon here. So you get back to the boat. There's another scene here where Elena is sort of like questioning if Ryudo might like Millennia more than her, I think. Ryudo has a big mouth and never seems to say the right. Seems to always know what to say that will upset Elena. But the boat is actually designed to where it can fly over, like Bill said, the Grayness Cliffs or the end of the world or whatever. And one thing leads to another. The boat more or less works. They get to Garland Village. So you want to take this section, Rich?
Yes. So basically, right off, you get to this village off the boat, and you discover that it is Ryudo's hometown, but he is not really greeted very well. They're more along the lines of like, "Why are you here? Go away! How dare you come back? This is all your fault." Everybody's all sad and but you find out it's because Ryudo and his brother Memphis went crazy and killed everybody.
Killed a lot of people.
Yeah, he killed a lot of people.
That like he killed several of the village people. He killed his own fiance.
Yes.
Which Ryudo viewed as like his older sister.
Yep.
He killed the cowboy, the Indian.
That's right.
I found this village really creepy just because there's no music. You just hear like ambient noise the whole time.
Sorry, Scott, because you said he killed the village people.
He meets there's this one guy that's there. It used to be his best friend. Another, they were training to be swordsmen to do great things. And, Memphis basically just, if I remember correctly, it was because he was jealous or wanted to be the best, and he found the horns and ended up, going insane, and he killed his fiance. Ryudo tried to kill him, but
so Memphis was always the better one.
Yes,
like out of everyone, and so he was designated the town's greatest swordsman. But his fiance was the one who descended down to take care of the business because there was something going on in their ancient shrine, which turned out to be the fact that the horns of Valmar were released. And then she gets possessed by the horns, and then I believe Memphis kills her, and then the horns possess Memphis.
Yes, basically it's a sacrifice kind of thing. Like I'll take it on.
But Ryudo shows up late, and all he sees is Memphis killing his fiance, and then just like
I think her name is Rena.
Rena?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe.
And all this is revealed to in an exposition dump from Sky to Elena, although Sky doesn't reveal. He does it from outside the window for some reason.
Yeah, it just explains like this is why Ryudo's the way he is. So they leave the town. They
masturbating in a bush.
Yep, totally doing that. Stupid bird.
Wait, here's one thing I didn't understand about the backstory. Why do they hate Ryudo? Like Ryudo didn't really do anything.
Because it was his brother. Because they're not from that village. They're outsiders.
That's kind of stupid. I thought they were. That's kind of stupid. Either way.
I think they were orphans or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I think also because Ryudo decided to run away.
Yes.
Maybe. So that 20-minute scene is like Sky's only purpose in the story is to reveal Ryudo's backstory. But
and then he's done. So I think doesn't
because after that we then go up and we defeat Memphis, don't we?
Yeah, we go up, we defeat Memphis because, they finally, do the confrontation, which is weird considering the fact is, you couldn't beat him in the kingdom, but you come here and you kick his ass. So it's kind of weird.
That much later.
Yeah, I know. Once you do that, you kill Memphis. You have this weird, oh, I'm sorry, brother. It's a touching moment. And then the horns transfer to Ryudo. Ryudo falls asleep or passes out or something.
This Memphis fight, did you guys have any trouble with it?
Yeah, it was an asshole.
It wasn't hard, but it was a tricky battle. But here's what I hate the most about it. Both times you fight him, the whole fight, he just goes, the whole battle. Like just the enemy noises in general are obnoxious. It's almost like they're bugged with how often they play.
He's an asshole.
But yeah, so the horns transfer to Ryudo.
Yep, and then Millennia helps Elena to go into Ryudo's subconscious in order so that he can control the horns.
Or she seals them off.
Yeah, she seals them off inside him. And apparently, as long as he doesn't give in to hate, he'll be all right.
Yep. So Elena is really despondent. She thinks she's losing Ryudo. So she turns to Millennia, which is something that she feels guilty about because it's like praying to Valmar for help, basically. And at
Which
first,
is a bad thing.
Millennia, yeah, at first Millennia is she's like, I can't do anything. I'm going to take the piece. Sorry, Ryudo. But then she can't bring herself to do it. And then she calls on Elena's spirit, and together they're able to like bring Ryudo back from the brink and seal the piece of Valmar, the horns inside Ryudo.
Can we just have a little pause here, guys?
Sure.
Pause.
Sorry, only because I've only got like 5 minutes left, really.
Oh God, no.
I know I was running late and everything. Can we quickly skip and do the end of the review, and then you guys finish off the story?
Okay.
And then we'll just explain. Sorry, dude. I promised Ella I'd watch a film with her at 4.
I couldn't remember if you were done at 11 or 12. So
Yeah, sorry guys. I only had 2 hours, and I know I was running late anyway.
That's okay. I ran late
Then I
too.
had my food shop.
all right.
All right, then. So we'll start with doing the review part at the end, yeah? The ratings.
Okay. So here's our ratings. We're going to start with story. So I'll go first here since I'm the first column. I really enjoyed the story of Grandia II. It has some tropes, to be sure. Some classic, like, the church is evil and all that. But I really like the characters. Like, all the characters are really well done, more or less. The plot's very intriguing. It had me on the edge of my seat a lot of times. I loved it. I will subtract a point or two for just the tropes. So I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay. So I will go next with that. I'm going to give it a 7. It was a very generic RPG storyline. It's still great. It wasn't too convoluted. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't something that, I had to spend, several hours researching and go, oh my God. So eye-opening. No, it was fine. I gave it a 7 though. It wasn't a perfect deal.
The characters really elevated it for me. Like,
Yeah.
I just loved it. Anyway,
I'm going to jump in at a 9 because I was a bit disappointed at first to find out it was like a religious-based story, because I really liked the story of Grandia 1, where it was kind of more just like ancient civilization. That appeals to me a lot more.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I thought the execution, especially towards the end, after you've got all the deposition from Elmo, I just thought it was really good. And I just thought all the arc of all the characters was so well done. Even Rowan's arc, Tio's arc, Millennia and Elena all had good endings as well. Ryudo, I just thought everything was very well done, apart from Sky. So that's why it's a 9.
Okay. All right. So next is combat. I really like the combat system. I think we talked about it in depth last week, but it's just like, it's kind of pure fun. The only real detriments would be the enemy noises are annoying, like I talked about a minute ago, and the magic animations are way too long. But other than that, it's super fun. Maybe a little too easy, especially after like the first third of the game. But I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well. So what about you, Rich?
Okay, I could not stand the bugs in it on the battle system. It got very tedious, and I just lost me throughout the whole thing. I'm gonna give it another 7, only because of just those bugs and stuff I constantly had to deal with.
Okay. I'm going to go 8 with Scott. I'm going to deduct a point just because of the long animations. And yeah, just again, same complaint I had about Grandia 1. It's just too easy.
Yeah.
There wasn't like, I don't know. I feel bad because it's the middle boss fights were a challenge, like the Eye of Valmar and the Memphis Fight. I found very challenging, but the last boss fights just breezed through it all.
It's really easy to get overpowered after like the first part of the game.
Yeah, and again, I rushed through it. I didn't spend any time grinding whatsoever. I just went from start to finish and didn't have any issues and still wiped out the end bosses. So yeah, just an 8.
So for non-combat, I feel a little conflicted. I do like the menu system as far as like how you learn new abilities and get different passive abilities with your skill books equipped and all that. The losing your equipment when Millennia and Elena transition is annoying, but not a huge deal. I wish there was more to do in the towns other than talk to people, although those townspeople conversations are amongst the best you will find in any RPG. But I also had problems with the camera, like I talked about. Like I thought it was really easy to get lost. There was no real way to like check a map or anything. So I don't think the non-combat mechanics are all that great in this game, but there's nothing really super wrong with them either. So I'll go. Don't want to go 6 or 7. I'm gonna go with a 6 on that, just because the puzzles in the dungeons aren't that great either.
I'm gonna give it a 6 as well. It just wasn't anything too special. It still had its moments. It just nothing was really like, oh my god, this is so awesome. Great integration of that. No.
I'm gonna give it a 10.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought the execution of everything in the background of this game was perfect. The menu system was great. Again, like Scott said, the character integration, the character interactions were great. The dungeons were not too complicated and they weren't too big. I didn't have any of the issues Scott had with getting lost and confused. I thought it was brilliant. I can't find
compass
anything
was
to
good.
You're just trying to offset that lower score from me.
No, I literally, this is I thought that was one of the most best bits of the game, was just everything that went on around everything else. The story was great, but the game was just so well made. I loved it.
The compass was good. I like the directional piece of it. So it kept me going to, like, didn't get me lost.
Yeah. It improved from the first one because it didn't just spin around in a town. You could actually point to the shop and then find the shop easily. So yeah, I loved it. It's all about graphics, Scott.
The graphics. This is a hard one because by today's standards, the graphics are obviously shit. But you have to put yourself back in the headspace of back then. But it's hard for me to do that because I'm trying to think of like what other games came out around then.
Pre-Final Fantasy X.
Yes. So I mean, it obviously doesn't look as good as 8 or 9, but it does look better than 7. The character models are kind of weird.
8.
See, I wouldn't think so.
Best looking guy here.
8 was terrible.
Everything's kind of chibi-ish. They don't have mouths. The magic spells animations are cool. I mean, they are long, but they do look good generally. I guess I'm just going to go middle of the road and say 7.
Cool. What about you, Rich?
Okay, I'm going to give it an 8 only because, like I said, at that time frame, it was a good looking game. You had it was right after 9, Final Fantasy 9, before 10, Legend Dragoon, like all those other game stuff came out, and not to mention when it came out on the Dreamcast. Yeah, like, you got to think about those time frames too. So I'm giving it 8 because of, I thought the animations were great, the combat stuff was great. It just made it all seem, pretty flawless at that point. But today's standards, like you said, it would be pretty garbage.
Yeah, I'm going 9 just because, again, lovely, beautiful Dreamcast game. Put a lot of effort into it. Dreamcast game didn't have any of the bugs and glitches that we had. I just think it's really well made. Not particularly, again, like say, I'm not a big fan of the style with them not having mouths and stuff and it being a bit chibi-ish, but I thought it did look beautiful. I didn't have any issues with it.
No mouths.
The music. The music I'm going to give a 9 because most of it is bangers. There's lots of tracks that slap. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because some of the like dungeon themes are kind of shitty. Like all the Valmar music is like I didn't like all that much, except for the Valmar's Moon track. And do you guys remember there was that one dungeon theme where it sounded like a clock was ticking at certain points randomly in the song? I was like, what is that?
It's probably a clock.
But I listened to it on the soundtrack.
It's playing Chrono Trigger.
It may be, and it is there. So it's part of the music. I thought that was weird. But anyway, yeah, it's one of the best soundtracks I've heard from a video game. It's just got a few duds on there.
Yeah. What about you, Rich?
I'll give it an 8.
I'm going 10. I've actually downloaded it onto my playlist. So
me too.
I loved it.
Best battle themes, like the main battle theme. It's just like one of the best battle themes in any RPG, in my opinion.
Yeah, I find there are very few games where I get the OST and I'm like, yeah, I've got to stick that in my playlist. And if I do, it's a 10. You've hooked me. So what about overall feel, Scott?
Overall feel. Again, the biggest detractor in this whole game to me is the magic. Other than that, I mostly really loved the game. Like I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to give it a 9. Because I would play this again. Like I loved it.
Yeah, I will give it an 8. It had some of its flaws. It has its bug times, everything else, but still it was a good story. I liked what happened with the story itself. It was a good the overall church was evil, and you had to figure all that stuff out. And it just, I liked it. The religion aspect was pretty good.
Okay. So what about you, Bill?
I'm going to go 9 for overall film. I thought the game was very, very good. It hooked me in. You know, I don't know. I feel like I might have given it a 10 if I didn't have to play the first half of it twice. but yeah, it really sucked me in, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay. So our bonus category, which does not count towards the final score, but final boss. So what are we considering the final boss? Because I guess it would be the Zera Valmar at the very end, right? After the gauntlet of bosses.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
The hardest boss at the end is that first Zera Valmar fight before the whole gauntlet, but that's not technically the final boss. He wasn't very hard, but we were overpowered at that point. The design was cool, how his Pope head would pop out from the wings or whatever. I'll give it a. I didn't have any problems with it, but it wasn't anything to write home about either. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. It just wasn't too memorable. I'm trying to think in my head exactly what it was like, but it wasn't really that spectacular.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 5. I thought it was too easy. That's my only problem with it.
You weigh difficulty a little bit more than we do, so that makes sense. Okay, are you calculating the scores on the fly, Bill, or do we need to take a pause?
I was trying to. My thing's broken.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break while we calculate the scores.
Man, my spreadsheet's broken. Sorry.
I'll just do the math here. 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9. So it's 47 out of 60, right? There's 6 categories? Yep. There's my score. Man, my score does not reflect how I actually feel about the game.
I need to plug my laptop in.
Bill was way higher on score.
Oh no, what's happened to my spreadsheet? I can't believe it's broken. I was filling the out as I was going along. I suddenly realised at the end it wasn't calculating the scores.
Womp womp.
Womp, womp, womp.
Whoop.
What the fuck?
Sorry, hit a button.
I'm almost in here.
Oh no, it's worked. Okay, yeah. So it's 81.11.
Damn, your percentage is way up there, Bill.
Yeah, I gave it 55 overall. You gave it 44, Rich. I gave it 11 more points than you.
All right. We good? I've got it written down here too. All right. So our final scores, I gave it a 47 out of 60, which comes out to a 78%. Rich gave it a 44 out of 60, comes out to 73%. And Bill was more generous. He got a 56 out of 60, which is 92%.
Oh, no, I gave 55.
Oh, a 55. Okay.
Yeah, 91.6. Still 92%.
Yep.
But yeah, and overall, 81.11.
So how do we feel about that score?
Sounds good to me.
I think it's good.
I think if I was rating it personally, like just throwing a number out, I would have it in the high 80s to low 90s. But I think it's about accurate for what the game actually is. Like, I don't think everybody is going to think this is a trip like one of the best games ever.
Yeah, I think so too.
What did Grandia 1 get? Do you remember?
87.5.
Fuck. All right. I'm changing all my scores to make it above Grandia 1. 10,
awesome.
10, 10, 10. Yeah. So that wraps up our review. And we're going to have to let Bill go now, I think.
Yep. I've got a date with my daughter.
Any last thoughts about Grandia 2 before you go?
I would definitely suggest having a playthrough if you want to throw $20 it on Switch. I think it's definitely worth it. Grandia 1 and Grandia 2 are both excellent games and definitely both worth a play. Cool. I'm really glad we bumped them onto the list to play them now.
Sweet action. All right. Well, Rich and I are going to power through the rest of this then.
Go on.
Yay!
Have fun with your kids.
Would it?
Later, Billiam.
So just to sort of do it now, I'll just say goodbye for the review part.
Oh, you want to do the actual outro?
Yeah. Oh no. I'll say goodbye for the story part.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let's go
So
back
five
here.
seconds.
We just finished Garland Village, I think.
Yeah, we had. Sorry.
All right. So next, we're going to move on to the non-village section of the story. But I think Bill has to go.
I'm sadly out of time, guys. My own fault. I had my groceries arrive and I got stuck in traffic as well coming home from something. But I've got a date with my daughter. So I'm going to leave you guys to finish the rest of the review. You've got my scores for the scores on the doors at the end. So enjoy. I'm going to really miss not having not being able to talk about Tickle Me Elmo later on.
You're going to miss so much.
I know. I hope you got a drop for that, Scott.
All right. Bye, Bill.
Tickle Me Elmo.
God.
Bye, guys.
Later.
See ya.
All right. So you good to power through the rest of this, Rich?
Let's do it.
All right. So after that whole saga, the arc there, they decide to go to Merrig's hometown, which is in the Goss Forest. It's called the Non-Village. They land there. They sort of think that's where the Grayness Saber is going to be.
Yeah, naturally, Merrick's hometown. I think he should have mentioned that.
Right. They get there. They get welcomed because any friend of Merrig's is a friend of his. Merrig delivers the news to his fellow townsfolk that his other beastmen that Memphis has been defeated. So they decide to throw a giant feast in honor of Merrig and Merrig's guests. There's a little side thing here where Ryudo and Elena have to get they play a nut mini game. They have to go in a shrine, and all the village people are scared to do it, but they ask Ryudo and Elena to. It's supposed to be some kind of couples things for some reason.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It's basically just a mini game to catch nuts. Did you spend a lot of time on this, or did you just do the required?
I just did the required. Now I got out of there.
I got all the rewards on this one. Wasn't as bad as the arm wrestling. But basically, there's this moss that they end up falling into, and that was the reason the village people wanted them to go in there, was because it makes them smell really nice, and apparently the smell of the moss is addicting to the village people. So if they go in there, they just never come back out. It's kind of a weird subplot there. But anyway, they have a festival at night. Merrig and Tio have a heart-to-heart, and at this point, Tio starts calling him Merrig instead of Master. She sort of starts to understand that she does have a heart. She's because she has feelings. Is this what love feels like, or whatever?
In her robot body.
Yeah. Not like romantic love, but
no.
Meanwhile, Elena sings a song to the village people. Ryudo and her have sort of a moment. Sky starts to tell Ryudo, hey, I know you want to get with her, so it's time to make your move. So Elena goes to the spring, and at this point, she sees Millennia in the water's reflection, and Millennia is clearly jealous. She's like, you don't deserve Ryudo. I'm so much better. So when she returns to Ryudo, she's Millennia now, and Millennia shoots her shot basically. Ryudo admits that he actually loves both Elena and Millennia. Bound chicken wow wow, and he says he can't choose. Such a playboy. So Millennia's like, well, if you won't choose me, then I'll make the choice for you. And she kisses him and chooses that moment to turn back into Elena, which makes it clear that they were kissing.
Oh, yeah.
Which was
that's
very
awesome.
Drama. So Elena's has her feelings hurt. She's like, well, I can't believe I let myself get so wrapped up in, Ryudo when I have this great mission from God I'm supposed to be focusing on. So that doesn't turn out super well. It's like something that would happen in a soap opera almost.
Crazy.
But they decide that they are going to continue on their journey. Merrig is going to keep coming because he wants to see how he wants to keep educating Tio and seeing how the rest of this journey plays out. So they move on, and I'll let you take the next section.
So they go to the Great Rift. They find the Grayness Saber. Well, the Grayness Saber is a big ass freaking sword, huge. It's actually
the size of a mountain.
Yeah, it's used to keep the body of Valmor sealed because it's pierced the back of him.
Right.
So somebody shows up
Yep.
Who would that be?
Our
Celine?
good old Celine shows up out of nowhere, and I
Yeah.
found this interesting because it's like, wow, you traveled a long way.
Yeah,
So
they
she has a
knew.
mission as well.
Yeah, they knew what was going on. So she revives Valmore's body. So you have to go fight. You have to go fight the body and let Millennia take over.
Yep. So basically, she sacrifices a knight. Celine does to bring back Valmar. She like cuts her own blood, does this like eldritch ceremony.
Yep.
And then she reminds Elena, "Don't forget that you have a mission too." And of course, nobody else knows what she's talking about.
What?
But Elena is not forthcoming at all about this.
No. So they fight the body. Millennia takes over, eats the body, and they give him the granite saber, and it's actually finds out the granite saber is a ship.
It's like a spaceship.
Yeah, it's weird.
They were like, "How are we going to move this?"
Yeah,
but
crazy.
Thankfully, Tio, being an automaton, a Valmar automaton, or whatever you want to call her, knows exactly how to use it.
So yeah, it's very convenient that they have her to help steer the ship because they wouldn't be able to do it. So once they do that, they take off. They head back to the church to show Zira that they have the Grayness saber. They're going to save the world. They gathered all the parts, and it's time to kill Valmar.
And Elena starts to have like a problem at this point because she knows that the Pope, in addition to the Grayness saber, has asked her to gather all the pieces of Valmar.
Which she
now
did.
She has all of them except for the horns, which are sealed inside Ryudo. And she doesn't want anything to happen to Ryudo.
That's a weird part, by the way, just his horns.
You're right. So they get back to the papal state, and Elena like separates from the group because she doesn't want to have to sacrifice Ryudo. And it turns out that like this ceremony to remove the pieces of Valmar from Elena will actually kill her.
Yep.
So,
but once they get to the church, though, guess who's waiting for him?
Yep. Well, when they get there, they learn that the church knights are like slaughtering the townspeople, and the day of darkness has started. Like Valmar's revival has begun. So they run into Celine, who like thanks Elena for all her hard work, and she actually calls all the church knights, which turn out to be like possessed by just the spirits of Valmar or something like that. They're made of like Valmar juice.
Yep. And it turns out she has the heart of Valmar.
Celine is possessed by the heart of Valmar. She has the knights gather below her with their swords sticking up, and it's like a really cool scene. It's got like that Grayness hymn playing, and she
it turns into like a fish, doesn't it? It looks like a weird fish.
She throws herself onto their swords and turns into the heart of Valmar. And so they defeat her. And this part's cool because Elena actually absorbs the heart of Valmar herself without having to turn into Millennia. And the others are just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a little insane.
So Elena begs them not to follow her, and she runs off. Sorry if you guys can hear that Rich's dog in the background.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. So they go into the church. They catch up with Elena and Pope Zera. And Zera basically reveals that what the plan was to everybody to remove all the pieces. But Ryudo wants to know why they are slaughtering the townsfolk. And basically, they are just hastening the revival of Valmar, the Day of Darkness. So you get this plot exposition dump from Zera. Turns out that the battle of good and evil 1,000 years ago or whatever, that although Valmar was sealed, Valmar did manage to kill Grayness. So the good God that everybody has been praying to and placing all their hopes on this whole time has been dead for thousands of years. So it's like kind of a fake religion almost. But Pope Zera wants to revive Valmar because he thinks delivering, I don't know what the right word is, but basically bringing the Day of Darkness and killing everybody will deliver peace to everyone.
Yeah, bring in the devil, everything will be better.
It reminds me of Seymour from 10, because remember his whole goal was to become sin and bring peace to Spira through killing everybody.
That's right.
But so obviously Zera plans to revive Valmar, and then become Valmar himself. Like he wants to ascend to godhood, basically. So he still takes Elena with him, and they're kind of left in a shit way because the Day of Darkness has begun and Valmar's forces have begun to like attack, kind of. So basically they follow Zara and Elena into Valmar's moon. Basically, they somehow get to the moon with the Grayness saber.
It's a ship. Remember, it's a ship.
Yep. It's like a whole moon made out of flesh. It's pretty gross, but it does have a pretty cool background track for once.
It's like Velmar's testicle.
Yes. So you get through there. You get to Zara, who has placed Elena in this weird like machine that is supposed to extract the pieces from her.
Yep.
So it starts to extract Millennia, and Millennia basically is absorbed and sacrifices herself to save Elena. But all the pieces of Valmar are removed from Elena. And at this point, you think that basically Millennia has died, unfortunately.
Did they remove the horns already at that point?
The horns are still in Ryudo, which Zara does not know, because he even makes a comment like, "Where are the horns? Oh, well, we'll have to continue on without them."
Yeah.
So it's like an incomplete Valmar starts to get revived. So they run out of there because the whole place is like falling apart. Valmar is being revived. And Merrick actually stays behind so that the rest can get away to the Grayness saber safely. He gets like just ravaged by the monsters.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy thing. But
yeah,
it was sad.
He gets all bloodied and he like sacrifices himself. He makes a comment like, "Grayness, if you can hear any prayer, let them escape safely." And Merrick actually dies at this point. It's sad.
Crazy.
I didn't expect an actual death. We haven't really talked about Merrick a whole lot, but he's like a really gentle, giant, sweet character that has like all kinds of good metaphors all the time. So Tio's heart is broken because she like really cared about Merrick. All the grief like teaches her more about being a real girl.
Yeah, I'm a real girl.
Because she feels grief, so she finally understands. Okay, I do have a heart, but she's sad because she doesn't. She wishes she had found out a different way.
Yeah.
So they managed to get one last boost of energy to get the Grayness saber back to Earth. It crashes and like crumbles into 1,000 pieces, but everybody miraculously survived.
Crazy.
And they arrive back at Siram Kingdom, which is Rowan's kingdom, and it's being attacked by Valmar and his monsters.
Yep, they're eating people, and it's just insane. Rowan basically rallies everybody, gets everybody together, basically talks some sense into Ryudo because he's basically just given up. He's like, well, this is Millennia's dead, Merrick's dead, we have nothing, everything's a lie. They finally
they're wanting Ryudo to just avoid the conflict altogether, because if he succumbs to the horns, then Valmar will truly be complete.
Yeah, but eventually they get, he rallies to the the rise of the challenge, and goes and faces in the special area of Valmar, where
did you do the extra bonus dungeon where you return to the Raoul Hills?
Nope.
You just blazed through, Rich.
I don't do those extra things. That's crazy. Did you?
Yeah, I did. We talked
about
it last week.
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing in there.
There's a little stone labyrinth you can explore that has like these really tough devil monsters, and so that has some really good items in it.
I did not.
No, well. All right. So basically, Valmar gets revived. They're sort of like debating about what to do, and then they find, or I think Rowan suggests that they go to the crypt of the people of darkness. They go there. He finds out that his mother's metal is how you get inside. And so you go down into a place called the birthplace of the gods. You make it through that dungeon, and you meet up with this automaton that's just like a part of the wall. It looks very similar to Tio, named Elmo, which is a pretty dumb name. Bill wanted me to have a Tickle Me Elmo drop here, but I couldn't find a good one. But Elmo basically reveals that the seals of Grayness that sealed the pieces of Valmar, that's not their primary function. What they're actually meant to do is turn people into the pieces of Valmar. They're like incubators almost. So However, she also reveals that somebody who has a strong enough will could potentially overcome Valmar within those seals and basically win the Battle of Wills. So Ryudo chooses to go ahead and go through with that despite arguments from the others. Elena runs up and kisses him right before he enters. It's a pretty touching scene. Maybe a little too long. The camera like rotates around them dramatically for a while. So then we get into the trial, which is basically Valmar like asking Ryudo different questions about, the darkness within him and being a good person, being able to resist, not wanting power and all that. It's a pretty cool scene. Ryudo manages to resist until like the very end when he succumbs. I can't remember what exactly happens, but he like sinks into the lava.
Yeah, and he basically becomes a monster in the dream. He becomes a monster, but then he fights through it and ends up being resurrected back as Ryudo and has overtaken the horns of Valmar.
Well, it cuts back to Elena and the others and the people of Siram. They just like have no idea what to do. So Elena's like, I'm going to help the only way I know how. So she starts singing, and she does that, the song she sung in Merrick's village, and like everybody joins in, and through the power of Deus Ex Machina, Ryudo is revived.
Yep. He's like, oh my God.
It's a really cool scene though, because he also gets revived with the Grayness saber, like an actual sword version of it.
Which is weird.
And then it does like a badass remix of the battle theme where they like have their final stand against Valmar and all that. Ryudo sort of taunts him. So then you go into the final dungeon, which is New Valmar, aka you're like inside Valmar again.
Yeah, you're inside him.
Yes. You get through there. You fight Pope Zera, who is now like a piece of Valmar. It's like this weird, almost gooey jellyfish looking thing.
Yeah, he's
has a really awesome final boss music. I wouldn't say it was an easy fight, but it wasn't very hard.
No. You fight all the pieces of Valmar again. It has kind of like a shadow, or is like kind of foreshadows of like, oh, look at this. These are the other bosses you fight. Remember these guys? And that's about it.
Well, at this point, Zera calls forth Millennia to fight you.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's just a fake Millennia, which Elena realizes. And in another Deus Ex Machina moment, Elena's like, actually, Millennia is me and has been with me all along. And then Millennia like becomes her own person, like without Elena and Millennia are like separate entities now.
It's a nice little, convenient
thing. It's like, we didn't have to be the same person all along, apparently.
Son of a bitch. And then, Ryudo's like, I could have got busy with both of them.
Right. So then Ryudo, Elena, and Millennia, they continue on to fight Zera, Valmar, and Rowan and Tio stay behind to like fight the other monsters.
Yeah, they fight them off.
Yep. I did find this boss gauntlet you were talking about weird, where you fight all the different pieces, because you fight all of them except for the claws. So it's like,
oh yeah,
I know this is already like a longish ending, but like it's weird that you just left out one of them.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You get to the middle, you have like this dialogue with Zera, who's turned into like a magic bird monster with a human head. It's really weird. But this is the final. Yeah, you kill him. Zera doesn't understand how mere humans could have defeated Valmar, and Millennia's just like, you're so pathetic, blah blah blah. You defeat him, and basically they all escape and everything's happy again.
Yes.
And then we get a super long ending. It's like, where are they now? Where you play as Rowan as he goes to like all the different towns and villages to catch up with people. The main thing is, I think Tio is a nurse in the Siram Kingdom now.
Yep.
She's happy, like helping people, serving people. He goes and visits Merrick's grave and tells him all about everything that's happened and how Tio is happy now and all that. He visits a gear town, the League City, where he runs into Millennia, who is now a school teacher, surprisingly.
I'd like that school teacher.
Right? But she learns from Millennia that nobody has seen Ryudo in a while.
Yeah. He's gone.
I wouldn't have guessed Millennia to try to be a school teacher, but oh well. Kind of a weird ending for her, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But so then he goes to Miramu, which is the town where the Eye of Valmar was. We also learned that Mayor Dawn apparently is okay. And in Malik City, you learn that Ira has revived, and because of all the flowers and everything, I guess. So apparently all the people that had their souls devoured are fine now.
Convenient.
Yeah, and then he learns that Elena is actually like a traveling songstress now. She's like sort of doing her own thing. She's happy now. She's not bound by the religion. This is sort of like she has freedom finally to make her own choices and stuff. She's in like a weird like one of those like a can outfit, almost like a Swedish village person.
Yeah,
she looks
like
different.
That. Yeah, she does. Not religious.
She misses Ryudo too, but like she also says she knows he'll be back one day, that they're all connected, like they're family. They all journeyed together. She like sort of comforts Rowan. Then the final scene is you see what Ryudo and Sky are up to. I think basically Ryudo he's not visiting Melphis' grave, but he says something about Memphis, which I also thought was a weird way to end Ryudo's story and the story in general, because it's like Memphis was a while ago now.
Yeah, like that's done.
I felt kind of shortchanged because Ryudo never really had to pick Elena or Millennia between the two.
No.
He could have had both, even maybe, but instead he's a loner.
Yep.
So kind of a weird ending. It's a really long ending, but overall, I loved the story. We'll talk about that more. Yeah. I think it's really interesting how they took the classic like tired church trope. There's a bunch of RPG story tropes in here, and still made it like very engrossing and like I was hooked the whole time, more or less.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to say about the story?
No, I thought we covered it pretty good. It's very nice.
Yep. All right, so now we are going to move on to the ratings, our final ratings, and we did pre-record this part since we knew Bill had to leave, so he'll be back temporarily for that section. So let's do it. Okay, we're back without Bill now again. Real quick, we'll go over some of the listener feedback and questions and stuff we got. Lulu on Twitter said, by the way, I think it's a dude. Lulu, it's Lou. So not Lulu from Final Fantasy X. He said the voice acting was good even by today's standards, except Rowan. I agree. Ryudo's voice actor in particular is really good, I thought.
Yeah.
And the battle system was engaging, albeit I miss being able to level up weapons. I don't. The world building was well thought out, and I loved how they confronted the systemic issues which religion can bring to a society. For example, how Elena so easily accepted the will of Grayness. It took both Ryudo and Millennia to convince her that she was being manipulated. Elena's character art was finished perfectly, but by giving her happiness and freedom that she never had. I agree.
Yeah. By the way, Lulu's a girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. Her Twitter icon has I guess it's her and her boyfriend, husband, person.
Yeah.
So
That
says the music was pretty good and the graphics were solid. If I could change anything, I'd say more side quests to beef it up and give Millennia a better ending. I agree. We said that was weird already.
Yeah.
To see Millennia still pining after Ryudo just didn't fit her character. I could go on and on about this game forever, honestly. Nice thoughts. Thanks for that review, Lulu.
Yeah. All right. So Tales of Aerope. It's been a long time since I played Grandia 2. Still haven't gotten the re-release, or else I'd gladly lend a better comment. But for my memory, it's a great story, and I enjoyed Ryudo and Elena's characters. What did Corey say?
Corey said, I saw Scott play some of the game. My only comment is that the second one looks better than the first one. He didn't watch me very much. It was just he happened to catch some of it while I was playing it. He actually sat through like the first half of Grandia 1 with me before he couldn't do it anymore, basically.
That's awesome.
And then Colin asked, who's better, Fina from Grandia 1 or Millennia? Well, define better. I'm not a big fan of the cast of Grandia 1, but I do think that Fina is one of the better ones.
Yes,
more
Fina's
likable
better.
ones.
Yeah.
Millennia
is just too aggressive, and they just tried to make her hot.
Yeah. Millennia, she's funny sometimes, but she didn't get a
Yeah.
whole lot of screen time. I think if I had to pick which one I liked better, I probably would go with Fina, although I like both.
Yep.
Millennia definitely added like an intriguing element to the plot. Sometimes it seemed like Fina was the only one with a good head on her shoulders in G1. Anytime she said she has a bad feeling about something, you know shit's going to go down.
That's right.
But yeah, that's all the listener stuff we got. So thank you guys for contributing to that once again.
Thank you all.
And into our outros. Next week, we don't have a plan yet, as far as I know.
No, we don't.
We might do the future of RPGs that we talked about a couple weeks ago, although that's not as timely anymore since we were doing that off the back of the PS5 reveal. But we'll see what happens. So just look forward to episode 23 there. Another way you can help the show before you go is to rate and review us on your podcatcher app. Remember, there is a review contest running for a few more days after this comes out. So
please,
if you want us to play a specific game on the list, then there's not much competition.
That's right. It's not.
So how else can they get a hold of us?
They can actually get a hold of us through the Discord channel as well. We do tweet that out very often through Twitter. It's a very lively community that keeps growing. I think we got a couple more joined last week. There's a lot of great people there that love RPGs and want to talk to you. Disa, if you talk to her, she's just very vast knowledge of RPGs. So she's great. You've got a bunch of other great people there. Just go join. Yeah, it's a great time.
You can find the link in the show notes. It's also in our pinned tweet on Twitter.
That's right.
And then there's also the Patreon. We talked about that already, but remember, you can get episodes early, ad-free. You can participate in the video version that we stream live. There are bonus aftercast episodes, extra non-RPG reviews, and lots more. You can find that at patreon.com/RPG After Years.
Nice. So you can email us too if you really want to talk to us and give us comments, show feedback, or even suggestions of a topic. You can email us at rpgafteryears@gmail.com.
Yep. And what about Twitter?
Twitter. It's a great place. Twitter, you can find the show at RPG Years. You find me at HaleBlue1569. And if you really want to talk to Bill, since he's a great guy, I love that guy, at Matunica with 2 N's.
And then you can also reach me at the Scott Spot.
Yes.
So, let me start that over. Sorry. Okay, so that's it for the Grandia 2 review. Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed. We finally got through the Grandia series. Of course,
yay!
3 is down the road sometime.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed. We look forward to catching you again for episode 23, I think. Until then, I'm Scott.
And I'm Rich. And I'm Bill.
And I'm Bill. We'll see you guys next time for more of the RPG Golden/After Years. Bye.
Bye.
The beast has been slain. The world has been saved. Our heroes are basking in the after years. They rest in the tavern for all to hear the tale of how they banish their fear. Revel in the peace that reigns through the land. All will know it was by our heroes' hands. Here in the after years. Here in the RPG after years. The RPG after years.
Love it.